So I thought I was done with Ghost of Tsushima, but it looks like we have a little bit more salt coming out on this game. So I just want to go over a couple of things because I find the salt surrounding Ghost quite enjoyable. I really do. It reminds me of a lot of Harley Quinn versus Sonic when those two movies came out, because Sonic was really loved by the fans, whereas the fans really hated they really hated a Harley Quinn movie, Birds of Prey. We'll say Birds of Prey. Whereas the critics loved Birds of Prey and they hated Sonic for the most part. And they were mad at Sonic because Sonic listened to the fans and so on and so on. A lot of similarities between that and Last of Us 2 and Ghost. Because if you remember, the critics score for Last of Us 2 is quite high, almost 100. And then the user score is quite low. Fans love this game. Fans hate that game, or at least somewhat hate it. I mean, I'd say it's a pretty divisive game, Last of Us 2, but for the most part, it seems like most people aren't happy with it. And I see a lot of similarities between that Sonic and Birds of Prey battle and this one, so I see a lot of salt on Ghost of Tsushima. Once again, people are saying it's appropriating things and calling it an American popcorn flick and all this stuff, so I'll get to that. But I want to go over a couple of quick updates. So I was really shocked by this. You'll have to take Ford's word for it. I don't know if this is entirely true. I'm going to guess this is based off of PS4 exclusives for the user score. But I think that this is pretty cool that Ghost of Tsushima is that liked. It's the highest PS4 user score on Metacritic. And remember, they made you wait like 2 days to review this game. So I would say it's probably pretty accurate then. Though they've changed those rules for the entire site, which is, in my opinion, kind of messed up. But nonetheless, pretty awesome. They tried, by the way, from what I understand, some people were reporting on this. Apparently, some salty fans were trying to review bomb Ghost of Tsushima. Didn't quite work out very well. Didn't work out very well for them. So I thought this was kind of cool. Also, still selling out in Japan, as you can see. Exceeding Sony's expectations, which I think is amazing. Seen pictures of, or a couple people reporting on Twitter that they can't find it and they live in Japan. Also, seen some really hilarious pictures of the game, just of Last of Us 2 just stacked to the ceiling. They have to give that game away in some cases because no one wants it. Journalists should be somewhat happy, though, because they did add a new difficulty level, a lower intensity level of combat. This is perfect for journalists. I'm surprised there's not articles coming out praising this, because we all know video game journalists just want to run through the game and just press a button and win. They're not in it for the challenge, they're not in it for the experience. They just want to get through it so they can review it real quick. And then depending on the money deposited in their bank account, that will also influence the score as well. So I'm surprised that there's not any articles praising this. You know, they've pushed for like Dark Souls to get a journalist mode every time the game's announced. I mean, what did we have to sit through? 35 Dark Souls 3 should be easier articles like 2 years ago. And now this comes out and they're not praising this? I'm really kind of surprised by that. I thought this would have gotten high praise and love from the journalists, but I guess not. They're just going to ignore this. I guess they just don't want to praise the game, right? Too busy still trying to desperately get clicks for The Last of Us 2. So let's get to the salt. So this is from Wired, another NPC outlet. I'm not going to go over the whole article. We're just going to touch on some things, but it's just the common criticism that I see for this game. It isn't a samurai cinema movie. It's a popcorn flick, which, does that really matter? People are just getting to this game. They like it for fun. Well, it definitely is a popcorn flick. The main boss is really cartoony and over the top, in my opinion. I enjoy those aspects of the game. I'm not looking for anything serious here. I'm having fun for what the game is. A fun game. Okay, I'm not looking for a serious game. Most people don't want to sit and be all depressed when they're playing video games, which is what they don't seem to get with Last of Us 2. All right? Last of Us 1 had some pretty sad moments, but it didn't beat you over the head with a depression stick, kind of like Last of Us 2 did. And that's really where that game failed. Last of Us 1 had a really good balance of good stuff. And Last of Us 2 just, well, we don't need to beat that dead horse. We can move on. But no one's looking for that all the time. People like popcorn flicks. That's why they're so popular. And that's why they make so much money. Kind of like this game. Making a ton of money. But we can take a look at some of their complaints here. A lot of the usual stuff. Growing up as a kid immersed in American popular culture, it's hard to escape the impression that samurai are really, really cool. It's because they are really, really cool. I mean, if you just look, a lot of the stuff about them are really, really cool. And you can get in, they did a lot of really bad stuff. It doesn't change the fact that they're still pretty cool. Looking at them from a pop culture standpoint, samurai are pretty awesome. All right. But these people got to go in and they got to remind you of the horrors of everything and say, well, you shouldn't like them because they were really the police of the peasants in Japan. It's like, can't I just enjoy this? What is this? I don't need a history lesson. In fact, to be fair, I was interested in the game enough that I actually went and watched and learned about the real battle behind Tsushima and all of that stuff. I was interested enough to go look into that, which I think is always nice to do and go find out for real what happened with things. Looked into the samurai a little bit more. I've known a little bit more about them, but I'd watched a couple more documentaries after playing this game, which I'm still playing, by the way. Excellent game. Fantastic game. Having a lot of fun playing Ghost, actually. Probably some of the most fun I've had playing a game all year. Of course, Cyberpunk is coming out still. I wonder which will be the better game at the end of the day, that game or Cyberpunk. Time will tell. Only time will tell. Anyway, the Japanese figures military nobility from a certain period in Japanese history, beginning in the 12th century, have been fully absorbed by American pop nerdiness and turned into infinite paragons of awesome. Supposedly honorable, supposedly undefeatable, and wearing beautiful armor, samurai are exactly the sort of heroes people love to root for. Of course, in reality, samurai are more complicated than that, a contested symbol of Japanese nationalism occupying a messy place in the country's history, and a fraught intersection of cross-cultural pollination, as the image enters the lexicon of our culture without any of the deeper political and symbolic baggage intact. What does any of this matter, though? And that's what really always bothers me with these articles, and why I even just kind of wanted to make a video talking about this, is because you're not allowed to just enjoy something. You know, how many games have come out? I think I read something, it was as a Japanese video game developer talking about things being translated from America to Japanese and the frustrations that brings. But something he said and I can't remember what this was from. I read it like 2 weeks ago, but he was talking about how they make video games where like Japanese samurai shoot laser beams out of their eyes. Like, the point is that some people just want to have a good time and enjoy something. If they really want to know the deeper political messaging or any of the symbolism or deep stuff that came from the samurai in Japan, they're welcome to go look it up. I've done that. It still doesn't change me from enjoying the game, but just because the samurai are in the game doesn't mean that you need to have the deeper meanings and what was going on politically with them and feudal lords and peasants and stuff. That's not what people are looking for in the game like this. How do you shoehorn that in anyway when you're trying to tell a story? You know, they always just want to beat you over the head with political messaging, and it just, people don't want that. The game's selling so well is because it's fun. It doesn't need a deeper political message to make it a fun game. You know, if you want that, why don't you make that game, Wired? Why don't you make the deep political samurai game, and we'll see how it sells compared to this one. You know, it's just funny that's why they love The Last of Us 2, because it was so damn depressing. These people just want to be sad all the time. Sad and angry. They never want to be happy. It really blows me away. Why are you so miserable all the time, NPC? Why are you always so miserable? And, you know, it goes with the saying, misery loves company. They don't want you to enjoy this game. They want you to be miserable too. There's more stuff like that in here. A lot of cultural questions, stuff like that. The first thing to get out of the way is that Ghost of Tsushima, about the Ghost of Tsushima developer Sucker Punch Punch's newest open-world game about samurai is that it's not much interested in those cultural questions. Ghost of Tsushima is firmly a game for that American kid and that person they grew up to be. Well, it seems to be a game for Japanese people as well, because it's exceeding the expectations of Sony and selling out over there. So it seems to be a game made for them as well, not just the American kid. It's like they didn't even look into anything when they wrote this article. Just funny. The game doesn't think deeply about samurai, only about how cool it is when a samurai plunges his sword deeply into an enemy's chest. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily, depending on what you're looking for, but what your relationship is to these cultural tropes is. But no, going in, Ghost of Tsushima isn't a high samurai cinema. It's a popcorn flick. And they go on to explain some things and complain. Another complaint that they have that I don't need to get too deep in is that the game was made for English voices. If you play the game in Japanese voice with subtitles, the voice flapping is off and it makes it look like a bad dub. Now, the thing is, I'm playing it, by the way, in Japanese. I haven't played it with the English voices. I'm playing it with Japanese and Japanese subtitles. I haven't really noticed this, by the way. But I'm reading the subtitles when they talk, so, I don't know. I'm probably going to notice it now that they've said something. I think like most people, oh, now I see it. Either way, it hasn't bothered me. I like playing the game in Japanese. If you like playing the game in English, that's fine. That's pick your poison. But I just find these articles so funny. So they want you to be sad like them. How dare you have a good time? So yeah, the game's still fun, but it could have been better with political meaning. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Just some more Salt. It's kind of slowing down. I don't expect too much more Ghost Salt unless it wins a big award or something over The Last of Us 2. Now that'll be some Salt. Anyway, thanks for watching. Give me your comments. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. I'd like you to share the video as well. Also, make sure you still subscribe. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.